Okay.
Okay.
So, I think we will go ahead and get started. We have 22 people, which is just delightful, just delightful. So, I'll start again. So, I found a free virtual art gallery that allowed for 31 pieces of creativity to be shared, but I had a lot more that were shared with me. So, I have two galleries. I was hoping that I could publish them for free, but they won't let me publish them both for free, only one. We shall deal with that. So we have 13 people who are presenting. Everyone has 5 minutes. When you get to 4 minutes, I'm going to be doing like this with a big smile, so that everybody knows that you're almost to the end of your time, and that's true for everybody but one person because of the type of creativity that they're sharing. We do need to have more than that. That 5 minutes, and we're not going to have questions until the very end. Okay, that way we can make
Oh,
sure that everybody's creativity is shared. And so if you have questions and you're like me, I'd have to write it down. But if you've got a good memory, please share it to the very end. And I want to thank everybody for participating and signing in to listen and watch our great creativity from our great members. And I know that we have a lot more people that have a lot of creativity. So I'm hoping that this spurs along another opportunity to do this again. Alrighty. So, unless there's any questions or any concerns, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Alrighty, so Mary Beth McCabe, you are up first, young lady.
Thank you, Renee. You say when.
Go ahead and
Okay,
speak up a little higher, please.
sure. Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mary Beth McCabe, and my hair was a little blonder and a little longer in that picture. So, in case you don't recognize, I'm the one. But Renee, thanks so much because this was a really special thing to do, and we offer so many different things with the FSH Society, and I just think bringing art into it is just another level of development for us and actually for anyone who's retired, anyone that's my age of 65. I just think it's a great opportunity to just relearn and to become another person that maybe you never got the opportunity when you were in the working world or raising your children. So I think it's a fabulous thing. So I'm a retired dentist and I've been retired about 8 years, and I was officially diagnosed in 1982 with FSHD, but it did not really have a big impact on my life until around 51, which was about 14 years ago. And, while this condition brought around so many challenges with mobility, getting around, limiting the things that we do on a daily basis that we all are involved with, it led me to something really outstanding, which was watercolor painting. My husband gifted me with a gift certificate for a class. I had never taken an art class in my life, even though my profession was a bit artistic. And I fell in love with it. I just liked painting. I love watercolor paintings. I never thought I would paint it, but hence so what I started as a simple hobby has now grown into a passion that I'm so deeply has enriched my life. And through painting, I found not only the creativity outlet, but also a sense of purpose and connection. And I think we all struggle with that. What's our purpose and how are we going to, become more productive human beings, not lose ourselves in this journey. And it's an amazing opportunity to just say you could reinvent yourself, and hopefully today you'll see different avenues of that to you. So I've gone from experimenting with colors at home to entering shows. This one has actually won a recent award in Riverside Arts Association this past month. And
Congratulations.
thank you. And I surrounded myself with incredibly talented people. I always felt I should always hang out with people better than me. And the teachers that have inspired me along the way, I feel myself very fortunate. Art's given me a way to express myself beyond my physical limitations, allowing me to focus on something that I can do rather than what I can't do. And I think that's important for all of us. More importantly, it's brought me into a community of like-minded individuals who have the same love for creativity. So tonight I was really excited to share a little bit of my journey and to hear all about your journeys. And is there any way that I could help influence or get you started on where to start with certain things, take a class and then see, what you do like, and from there, find out what you're all about, because you're more than this physical person that sits in a chair and can't do this and can't do that, and you never know what you can do until you try.
Yeah. So maybe, Helen, we can make sure that we have Mary Beth's email in the notes too. These
Okay.
are these are gorgeous. These are
Yeah.
just gorgeous. And this is the
Mary
one that's
Beth.
the award winner?
And actually, the horse did
Yeah.
too. The horse has a funny story because, and I didn't know if you raised your hand yet,
Not
Renee.
yet.
Okay. I had a friend that I gifted a painting to, and it was all about bikes because she and I had road cycling. We did road racing, and so I painted some bikes for her. And she said to me one day, I have an idea. I'd like to pay you to paint a picture for me." And I said, "Okay." I'm thinking her house. She lives in Florida, maybe something down there. I said, "Okay." And she says, "I have a friend her daughter owns a horse and she barrel races." And I'm like, "Oh, well, I've never painted a horse and I've never painted a person. I'll do it." So again, I would never in a million years I thought I'd ever paint a horse and a person. And these Alexandra and Bugatti, they did win an award too for me for the New Jersey Watercolor Society. And I painted about 4 or 5 more horses since, and I'm really falling in love with painting horses. So again, out of your comfort zone, do something a little different. You never know what you could unveil, so
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now I would put my finger up.
thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to go on to Rick Whitehead. Okay. So, this is what Rick is sharing with us. My comments about art and having FSHD are mostly in retrospect, as I have lived the life of an artist for 30 years before realizing that I had FSHD. I am trying to travel each year, an important trip while I still can. What I have in the reserve is the knowledge that I'll always have my ability to do artwork that has been so central to my life experience. I may be a little bit more limited in my approach to actually producing the artwork, but no less satisfying, a creative outlet, and a sense of accomplishment. I'm sure that many of us measure what's ahead. I'm trying to be as open and proactive in the FSHD Society and among friends now with those I've known through FSHD. Still, I feel very fortunate with my future with art, travel, each year a little bit more limited, playing competitive bridge, which he has a picture of here. Or a part.
Yeah, that's me.
That's beautiful. Well, and I saw that, and I remembered you talking about bridge. I thought, well, we've got to put that one in there. A good game for us, and of course, reading, trying to stay away from too much TV, which is so easy. My near wife's small breed rescue dog is a great comfort and companion and a great source of happiness. I did do an art piece of my last dog, a whippet, which is here. It now keeps me company and happy. I've said to our society members, we're in the same boat, which I thought was poignant, and then one of our members added, but some of us have lost the paddles. It was a quick and clever response, and so very telling.
Boy, that was really well written.
It really was very well written. Thank you very much
No,
for
it was well
writing that.
read. Thank you for doing that, Renee. That made it a little bit easier for me. And while I can't see everybody that's here, I'm seeing these little chats come up that are all very supportive. So thank you all. I'm glad you get to see this. That is another side to me, which I'll be anxious to see the other sides to everybody else exhibiting here, which is wonderful.
I'm going to go through these slowly again.
That's
Rick,
very recent, that one.
Okay, is this of someone in particular?
Yes, it is. It's of a very close friend, but the image is from 1962, and she's driving along the Jersey Turnpike, but she's from Sweden, and that's a natural, well, not natural, I mean, it's a a rock formation that's very famous over there. They're kind of Stonehenge. So I inserted it, and she's very happy with the piece. It's pastel on
Beautiful.
suede board.
Ooh,
Then I did a whole series of these that were inspired by Aboriginal work.
beautiful. Just beautiful. And then this, that we already talked about that one. That's
What's
you.
your
Well,
medium,
that's
Rick?
actually, this one is oil. The one before
This is
was
stupid.
interference and iridescent acrylics with pumice. This is a very traditional oil. It was at the end of my school years in Philadelphia at the academy. These people lived below me. It's about 5 foot square. So, and it was all done from studies of them while they played their pinochle in the apartment down below. And they got to see the exhibit in the museum, which was a lot of fun. They were recognized. So they probably never walked into a gallery or museum before in their life. So
Oh, sweet.
that's Taco. And I've got Usagi, which some of you may have seen with me here in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rick, for sharing your beautiful artwork. Thank you.
Well, thanks. I'm glad this worked out. I really was concerned, but
Yeah.
everybody's in there okay. So next,
Good.
on to
Good.
Rob. All right.
This is Rob. So Rob shared with me, let's see here. So this is what Rob wanted to share. When he was 5 years old, his dad decided that he needed to be taught to play the guitar. We battled over this until at the age of 8, I switched to piano. Given what FSH muscular dystrophy does to my shoulders and my arms, I believe this switch was part of God's plans for my life. Likewise, when I was a teenager, I was playing professionally. Given that people were always requesting songs they heard on the radio long before the sheet music was available, I learned to figure out the chords and melodies of songs just by listening to them a few times. This was a skill I had no idea I would have to depend upon later in life, as I lost my sight in a car accident, but God knew, and it was part of his plan. The car accident that took my sight was also the end of my professional playing career. After the accident and a year in rehabilitation, he began playing the piano or playing music again. However, I limited my playing to church and a nursing home ministry. The performances at nursing homes, personal care homes, senior citizen centers, and facilities for adults with disabilities has been a blessing to me, as much as it might have been a blessing to my audiences. FSHD is as much of a mental struggle as it is a physical challenge. I've got to admit that there have been seasons of depression for me, as I've lost muscle function and was forced to stop doing things for myself. I'm not ashamed to say that I've been on medication for depression several times over the years. I've also benefited from counseling. However, I found that for me, the best cure for depression has been finding ways to help other people. I found a lot of satisfaction over the years by being the best father I could be for my children. Founding and directing an agency that provided services for individuals who are vision impaired was definitely driven, at least to some extent, by my need to help someone else, and in the process, also helping myself. I have a number of shut-ins that I call on a regular basis. Doing this gives me a lift. I also feel blessed to be able to pray for people who are struggling with life's many challenges. That all being said, providing music for folks who need a lift has been my main strategy for staying positive, as FSHD has a greater and greater impact on my life. I no longer walk when I'm out of the house, but I use a wheelchair and continue to play. As a blind person, I'm blessed to have friends who drive me to the various places I perform at. They're a blessing to me and allow me to be blessings to my audience or audiences. I am currently doing a Wednesday afternoon music break every week. This gives me an opportunity to reach out to my friends and anyone else on Facebook who cares to listen, with a song that I hope helps them over the hump. For folks who don't do Facebook, I upload the live videos to my Robin Stemple YouTube channel. My goal is pretty simple. In blessing others, I feel blessed myself. As I said before, God had a plan for me all along. I could never play a guitar at this point. My arms and shoulders are just too far gone. I can't play piano like I used to either. It's hard to move my arms up and down the keyboard, and my fingers don't work like they used to. My FSHD has also greatly impacted my voice. The muscles around my vocal cords and weakening abdominal muscles just don't give me much breath support. Despite increasing difficulty, I tell my fans that I'm going to keep doing music until I just can't do it anymore. I tell audiences that the more they sing along, the less they'll hear me singing and we'll all be better off. It's not as big of a part of my musical journey as performing is, but I've also done some original music over the years and now enjoy a home studio that fits nicely into my man cave. Writing songs has provided an outlet for me to express some ideas I have on life. Some of my songs are titled Don't Give Up, Count on Me, Share a Smile, and Mend Your Fences. I think I'm writing songs trying to encourage myself as much as anyone else who might give them a listen. So I hope this comes through well to everybody.
Rob Stempel here, and back on track with the Wednesday music break in the afternoon. I hope that everybody's
Can everybody
doing well
hear?
and getting through the week okay. Could do a little music today and hopefully get you over the hump. But today is going to be the old Ray Stevens classic, Everything is Beautiful, which of course starts with something we all learned in Sunday school. This is going to be a little bit different arrangement of it, a little bit more modern drum track, if you will. So if you're used to the gospel version, this is going to be a tad different, but same words, same great message. So I hope everybody can sing along, and we're going to start right now. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Everything is beautiful in its own way, like the starry summer night, snow covered Tuesday, and everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, world's gonna find a way. For there is none so blind as he who will not see. We must not close our mind. We must let our thoughts be free. For every hour that passes by, you know this world gets a little bit older. It's time to realize that beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Every now and then, everything is beautiful in its own way, like the starry summer nights, snow covered me today. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, world's gonna find a way. We should care about the length of His hair, or the color of His skin. Don't worry about what shows from without, but the love that lives within. We're gonna get all get now. everything's gonna work out fine. It's time to take some time and look at the good side, my friend. Straighten out in your mind. Everything is beautiful, and it's all the way. Like the starry summer nights, snow-covered winter's day, and everybody's beautiful in their own way. Under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. Yes, under God's heaven, the world's gonna find a way. Yes, we'll find a way. God, show us the way. Hey y'all, thanks so much for those of you that tuned in. I also thank all of you that are going to listen to this on a replay. It'll be posted on my timeline, I guess is where it goes, but I really hope it.
Thank you so much, Rob, for sharing
That was
that.
great, Rob.
I was bopping my head. I wanted to sing along, but you don't want to hear me. You want to hear Rob.
Well, singing voice is not what it used to be. S's don't work at all, but I keep telling my fans, just sing along. You won't hear me sing at all, man. So, but I just love doing music, and hopefully can keep doing it for a long time. See.
It was great.
Thanks,
Thank you
Rob.
for sharing.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
also
so much.
listen to him on Wednesday. I usually don't get it when he's doing live, so I listen later on, and quite often I'm moved to tears. They're just beautiful. Just beautiful. So
And
thank
Rob,
you.
I just want to tell you that you touch a lot of us with your column as well.
Yes.
Thank you so
Definitely.
much. Hopefully, you can relate to what I'm writing, but that's just fits such a blessing to me. A little bit of therapy, just getting it out there while I'm going through, right?
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I can relate to every one of them.
Me too.
I appreciate it. Move on, Renee.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for the blessing of Rob, truly. Next, we have Kathy Senecal, who has some very, very innovative and beautiful art to share with us. Are you ready, Miss Kathy?
Yeah, that's a hard act to follow, Renee. It's really not fair. Oh
I
gosh, I'm still just like, oh, feeling that. It was
I know.
beautiful, Rob.
Isn't it
Yeah,
gorgeous?
it
Thank you
is.
so much. But I'm really
Oh,
loving everybody else's stories too. So
uh,
Okay, you're
okay. I know I'm under the timer, so uh, I related to what Mary Beth said about being retired. All of a sudden, you can open the doors to a lot of options out there. And this is something called eco printing, which I started a couple years ago. It's where you take plants and vegetation and you put them in a water bath with alum, and you soak them and you press them and you roll them and you dry them and you iron them, and you come out with the most beautiful prints. And what I have here is a booklet, and what you have, what's that? Those are called signatures, these pieces of nature's art that are simply transferred to different kinds of paper. And you can do all kinds of fun things if you put plants and get the print and put them on translucent paper and put them in the window. It's like stained glass. So that's one of the great things about being able to bring nature into the house, because I'm not unable to go walk in the woods anymore. So I bring the woods to me, and I get to enjoy that aspect of being outside. This is my wall of watercolor, I guess. I'm amateur watercolorist. I've been painting for about 7 years, and I realized all these paintings are just stuck in a portfolio, and I thought, what the heck? So my husband put up a cork board, and I just pinned up all the art that I'm doing, and I take them down as I create new pieces. I find through watercolor, as has been said earlier in this program, it's just a wonderful medium just to really learn to let go of the pigment and let it do its dance with water on the paper. It's a lot of fun to do. In the beginning, I was able to go to in-person classes, but as the disease has progressed, I have had to have a recourse, a wonderful opportunity to take online classes. I will sign up for a computer class and take a class that way. But this way I get to enjoy what I've been doing, and it's a lot of fun too. So I find watercolor a great way to keep your creative juices flowing. And that is what I was doing for quite a few years. I learned how to spin with this is called art yarn, and you use wool and a bunch of other fibers, and I dyed them with dyes and created all kinds of unusual yarns, one of a kind skeins of yarn. And the last few shows I did, which was right before COVID, I had this sign made so that all the proceeds would be donated to the FSHD Society. That was really giving in a wonderful way. I got the pleasure of creating these pieces of artwork, which is the art yarn, and also to take whatever money was made from the sales of them and donate that to the FSHD Society. I think being able to take this disease and continue to provide yourself with creative outlets is an ongoing challenge because the disease progresses, and it keeps us on our toes, I guess I should say. What you see here in this piece is what you call roving, where I've combined a whole bunch of different colors of wool and yarn. And this is what I would spin with. I would take this and I would put this in my spinning wheel and spin with that. So that's kind of it. Oh, yeah, there's some more of my yarn, right?
Beautiful
So
colors.
thank you. Yeah. And that's another sample of my yarn too. So that was a lot of fun. And now I can't spin anymore. I went from a one treadle spinning wheel to a two treadle spinning wheel. And then eventually that kind of gives up the ghost. But yeah, so.
Thank you very much. It seems so innovative. So next we have Laura Maffei, and she was unable to come today, so she wrote up several different things for us to share with what she does. Hi all, I couldn't join the Zoom, so I'm sending these slides. My name is Laura Maffei. I have an MFA in creative writing, and I teach writing and literature. I've written poetry and fiction. I've published a bit of both. I also draw badly, and doodle and make amateur homemade greeting cards that I foist upon friends and relatives. Why? Creating anything gives me a specific kind of joy. In my experience, the key to being in touch with that aspect of ourselves is to be in a state of flow, a state of complete absorption in the activity at hand, a state of timelessness and egolessness. And those are some really interesting books that she wanted to make sure that we all had the opportunity to utilize if we would like to. Fiction has helped her develop compassion towards others by putting myself in the places of multiple characters, especially when they are at odds with each other. The bracelet is an example of this idea. A professor friend of mine teaches this story. Anyone interested is welcome to go to her website for links to published stories, including the bracelet, which has an audio version. And everyone will get minutes and also the slides of this, so you'll have the capability of being able to go to these spots. Is Jen on?
Hi.
There you are. Good.
Hi, Renee.
Here we go. It's your turn. 5
Oh,
minutes, and then when you get to 1, I'll do like this.
uh, what are you gonna do when you get to one?
My one finger will go up.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay.
I mean, I just have to say, I mean, this is unbelievable. This is so amazing to be able to share this and like the level of like talent among everyone. It's just blowing me away. And sort of making me think, even like as a fundraiser, like we
Yeah.
each
Yeah.
donated something and
Yeah.
please do an online auction for the FSHD Society or something.
Version 2.
Yeah. I don't know. I think everyone in the society needs to see this. I think we can all be so reduced to, certain ways that we see one another because we see each other in like very specific contexts. And then we do something like this and we realize, all these other aspects of people's lives. And yeah, I mean, I've been doing art ever since I was like, my mother is sitting next to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm at her house, so she's hanging out too. This is Risa. Hi. Yeah, I've been doing it my whole life, and I've done a lot of different things. I kind of go through projects and I get into certain things at different moments of time, and I've blown glass, I've made pottery, I've made jewelry, I painted, photography, drawing, kind of a little bit of everything, jack of all trades, write a little. Um, this this was a piece that I did. It was really about just trying to develop a better relationship with my body. Um, it's hard, not only FSHD, but for a whole host of other reasons, sort of to really love your body. And it's a mixed media piece. I've been very into mixed media lately. And for those of you artists, if you don't know, June Kinoshito told me about the Rare Artist organization, and they do um, annually like a competition, and it's for people who have rare diseases. So if you look up rare artists, you'll see um, competition, and people with all different kinds of rare diseases submit their artwork, and they do, there's winners, and they also do mentoring for people who want to do more. But
That's
it's
good to
great.
know. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really neat organization. So yeah, that's something I did several years ago, and yeah, you can scroll through. Yeah, this is another mixed media piece. I was doing a lot of photography for a while. The other piece has photographs in it as well. And this is a photograph from a project that I did many years ago where I was just taking a photograph a day. You just kind of see what it was that I was seeing, and I integrated it with some poetry that I wrote and did it as a presentation, and then decided to take one of those photographs. Not sure what that was. I don't know if anyone else heard that static. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
we did. We did.
yeah, and this is sort of integrating some other, acrylic paint. Yeah, I'm very attached to spirals, and uh, and so it shows up a lot in my artwork. This is a recent painting, and I've been working with spirals and paintings recently. And there's the idea of a spiral is that we're always evolving. It's about like inner growth. Um, I don't know, it's just a symbol or a shape that the movement of it inspires me. That's another recent mixed media piece that I did, which is sort of like an homage to my father who had FSHD and passed about 4 years ago. And it's a wood panel and paint and also pictures, kind of like him swimming off into the sunset,
Beautiful.
boating off into the, and it's another spiral image. I like working with layers. This is just acrylic paint. It's not mixed media. And that's like an early mixed media piece I did. I like using old pieces of artwork, like doodles and stuff that I did that I wouldn't necessarily frame or hang up, but then cut them up and they have a whole second life.
Oh, that's the end of that. Thank you. I didn't even get to the one. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I would say for me, like definitely art is my therapy, and I relate to what was said about flow. Um, that when I'm doing art, everything falls away. And there's, when I'm really in it, and when I'm not in a fight with whatever I'm doing, because sometimes I get in a fight with the work that I'm doing. I wanted to do one thing and not go in that direction. But when in that flow state, it's a real state of mindfulness and just being present with what you're doing, and definitely the best therapy.
Love it. So this is Robin Carlinos. Do you want to speak to this, Miss Robin?
I'd be happy to. This is a copy of a print that I made for a baby gift for a shower, and he didn't outgrow it, like so many gifts. I have a pink version for little girls who are born, and of course, the sunflower is the flower of the state of Kansas. I have a bride and groom picture that I do, and I also do beading and make bracelets and earrings and jewelry. I enjoy making greeting cards for my friends and family, and I've been doing this for about 30 years. And my husband's retired. I'm just tired.
Thank you very much for sharing. So this is mine. I love yard art. So when I purchased this house in 2013, the old wheelbarrow was stuck in the backyard, and I thought, well, that's going to be a place for me to grow annual flowers in the summertime. And this is my view out of my dining room window. So I like a garden that doesn't have, you can't see a lot of dirt. You got things growing on top of each other. I don't like weeds, but these usually don't make much room for the weeds to grow. So this is mine. I have 5 different varieties of lavender in my front yard. One of them is edible, and I have lots and lots of bees that are enjoying my lavender in the summertime as well. All right, so now we are on to gallery number 2. Okay, so this is Miss Anita. Your turn.
Scotty, I have to say, I am so impressed with the talent. I mean, everyone is just incredible. The colors and the detailing, everything. It's the singing. I mean, really, it's just, this was such a wonderful idea. My work doesn't compare. Wait, Renee, let me just.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes, it
Wait.
does.
All right. So, I thank everybody for sharing. They're just special. I am so impressed. I'm like speechless. Okay, so we could start. This, I started off as a classroom teacher in New York City in the Bronx. I told my mom I wanted to be an interior designer. She told me, don't be silly. What do you know from that? So I taught for 26 years. After I got my master's degree, I became the early childhood teacher trainer in my school.
Anita, there's a lot of background. Are you close up to your microphone? Or are you behind?
Am I too close?
I know. I think you need to get a little closer.
Closer?
Yeah. Is that
This
better? Folks? Yeah, that's better.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So one of my responsibilities as the early childhood teacher trainer was to design child-centered classrooms, because I'm old. I'm 79 and a half. So when I did this, I was young. At that time, classrooms are very teacher dominated. And I loved the fact that I was creating an environment that children and teachers would use in the most beneficial way. And hopefully, with my training, teach them to teach differently, more child-centered. As I said, I worked for the New York City Board of Ed for 26 years. And during that time, I also went back to school to get my interior design degree because I knew I loved doing that. And despite going to camp in the summers, I was never good at sports, ever. And having a mother who was self-taught expert at all handcrafts like knitting, crocheting, sewing, drawing, designing, I was always interested in creating with my hands and my mind. I was interested in any type of crafts, pottery, cloisonne, jewelry, photography, design, sewing, etc. During the time of COVID, as well as it being a very turbulent time for all of us, I needed a release because I was really intensely stressed. And I felt that I needed to allow myself to do something else. And what I did was I realized, 1 second, that during my years of doing photography, as well as my interior design projects, that my creations always had texture within them, always. Unfortunately, my design career, interior design career, kind of stopped when my muscular dystrophy progressed. I think I scared clients, so. Whether in the photographs or in the textiles or surfaces of the surface materials that I use for my clients, there was always texture. So I decided to do textured art as a means of releasing my stress. Working with my hands enabled me to forget what was going on around me and gave me a sense of quiet and a good respite from everything that we were all dealing with. And so this picture here, actually is in my children's bedroom. They're married. And this was the last thing I created. And it's a work that I do, it's in spackle. Spackle is my medium. And I used acrylic paint on top of the spackle in varying shades. And I would change the shades and do all kinds of things with it. It required a lot of detail, which I love doing, and it enabled me to forget what was going on, which I needed to do.
Okay, you got 1 minute.
Okay, so that's the last thing I've done. This was the third thing I did. It's not showing up so well. It's blues and greens and just the same technique, which is just putting layer and layer of color on the canvas. This was the second thing I did, and it's only spackle. I did not color it, but it's different textures that I used. And then I framed it. My husband helped me frame them. And this is the first thing I did. This is when things were really crazy. And my art there really depicts that. But I was just playing around with spackle on a canvas and trying to get as much texture as I could on that canvas. It was a lot of fun. It was very relaxing. And it's the kind of thing that you really cannot make a mistake. And I did this even with my 6-year, actually my grandson was 4 at the time, and he created one, which now hangs in his room. And anyone can really create this. You just have to give yourself the freedom to explore whatever medium you want to work with. That's it.
Love it. It's so innovative, and it's spackle.
It's only spackle. That's all it is. You go to Home Depot or whatever, and you get spackle. And it helps if you get the pink spackle, because you can then see where you've worked on a white canvas, because the pink spackle dries to white.
And did you use a spackle knife? Is that what you
I used
used?
a spackle knife, I used a comb, I used my old tools that I used to use for my pottery. You can use anything. You can use a spoon, you can use a fork, you can use anything you want to create the type of texture that you want. And you can keep playing with it for a number of minutes, so that if you're displeased, you just take your spackle knife and make it all even and then rework it. So it's very forgiving.
Thank you so much, Anita.
My pleasure.
So this is what Debbie wanted to share, and then she's going to talk about each one of the paintings. So painting is not a finished piece of art or the result of what the world perceives as good, but an experience of the inner man who can achieve the beauty of expression without the limitations of another man's approval. It's beautifully written. That's by Sam Butcher. Another inspiration from Debbie is a verse in the Bible, from the Bible, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 35. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. So that scripture verse is very important and inspirational to Debbie, and you'll see a lot of that in her artwork here. So Debbie, do you want to share a couple lines about each one of these paintings that you've done?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a great idea, and I'm thankful to participate in it. Although I'm, excuse me, very nervous, but I'll do the best I can.
Yes, that's all you can do.
The first painting is called Down on the Farm. I was born and raised in Northeast Missouri, and this painting speaks of my fondness of painting old barns. They're fast disappearing in our landscape because of all the big corporation farmers that are moving in and taking over everything and just wiping out all the old barns. So I love them, and I love to keep them in my memory, and I love to paint them because they just have such character. So capturing them in oil is my way of preserving and sharing those memories.
I'm sorry.
This is a,
I went too
that's
fast.
okay. Yeah, no, go ahead. This one is By the Still Waters. It represents the good part of my childhood memories. The time spent with my horses are some of the best memories from my childhood. I had horses my whole life, and if any of you have had them, you know what a special thing it is to have a horse for a best friend. And so my horses are some of the best memories from my childhood. So Eagle Mountain is the next one, Renee. This one is taken from a snapshot in a magazine I seen. It just caught my eye, especially because eagles they just represent soaring above troubles and just soaring over things and being peaceful, with the Lord. So I like that part. They that wait upon the Lord, she said that verse, but it's verse 31. They that wait upon the Lord shall mount up with wings like eagles. And that verse became more special to me a couple years ago when I broke my hip. It gave me inspiration to get up and keep going. Took me a few years to get back on my feet, and I still don't move like I did before because of the FSHD. Sitting around doesn't help it. Everybody knows that. So the next one is called Little Eagle. And this one also came from a greeting card. I'm a self-taught artist, so I learned from books and didn't get to go to classes and stuff. But so I usually just get my ideas mostly from things like that. Like I said, eagles are very special to me, and so are children. I'm kind of interested in the
the native Indians and it's how they survived, you know. The next one, Renee, this one's called Standing Elk, and it also came from a greeting card. To me, it reminds me of the times I spent elk hunting with my husband in Colorado. We lived out there, and the mountains are very special. I didn't never shoot one, don't worry. I could never shoot anything. So I just like to take pictures and then paint them, you know. So I did take a lot of pictures of the areas and the mountains, and mountains are very special to me too. I don't have most of my art. I usually give it all away. And um, so that's my story.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Michael King.
Hey, wow, I feel honored to be amongst this group of creators. I'm more of a capturing God's beauty than creating it like everybody else, but it's something that I really enjoy doing. I was diagnosed just about a year ago, and dream vacation of mine was always go to Alaska with my wife, and it was many years down the road. We decided, you know what, things in life are changing. Now's the time. So we went and had booked it. And that same year, last year, we took a trip to Alaska. She wanted to see the Northern Lights and all the wilderness, and and the animals, and I wanted to photograph them all. So off we went, and our very first night, which is the first picture. The next picture, Renee, is in fact the first night of the Northern Lights. We went out in Fairbanks, and a tour took us out, and we got to see just a great display of the Northern Lights. So immediately my wife was happy, goal accomplished, checked. And so the rest of it was gravy after that. So it was a couple of weeks of touring around Alaska, seeing things. We actually had 2 nights of the Northern Lights. So this is just one of my favorite captures of that particular evening. But you know, the display went on for over 2.5 hours. So it was just constant taking pictures. So for me, photography, I like to take all sorts of pictures. It's been a hobby of mine for a while, but when I am out there taking pictures, I especially enjoy wildlife, but it's a complete escape from everything that's going on in my life, no matter what's going on. The changes in my body, those things, I just forget everything, and I can just stay in a zone and stay in a spot for hours upon hours and just waiting for something to capture. And so this was a great one. The next picture, we were in Denali National Park, and we hit it at peak fall season, and there was just color everywhere. And most all except the last picture was all taken from some sort of either vehicle, boat, or something like that. So I was able to get to everything very easily. I can't quite as hike into the wilderness like I used to. So it was very, very nice to be able to have the ability to take these pictures from, you know, a vehicle of some sort. So this one we just came across, we're just looking at all this color, and just happened to be this moose sitting out there. So again, moose, check that off the list. That was one of the animals we wanted to see. So that was great. And the next picture is we did this as a cruise. So part of it was a cruise, and we went through this area where there was a bunch of otters swimming all over the place. There was packs of them that were 20, 30 in a group. We were at the bow of the ship, probably 50, 70 feet up, looking down at them, and they were floating by, and they would always kind of look up and spin and then go underneath. And this particular one just was staring at me the whole time. And just before he went under, I'm convinced he was waving at me and just saying hello, and gave me a big smile. I was so happy to get that picture. But the personality of these otters it's so much fun. And next we went to a reserve. We went on a little flat bottom boat and started to go through part of the Alaska wilderness in Haines. And there's an eagle kind of preserve safety area there that there's just eagles everywhere. And this one, we were on a boat kind of floating underneath, and I'm leaning back with my lens and looking up at it. And it's just giving me that look like, yeah, go ahead, take the picture. I know this is what your dream's been. Eagles for me are things that I just love to photograph. And this was the first one we came up upon, and I love the look he was giving me. So I was trying to
So
get his picture
how
and
close
move
were
on.
you?
I was like right under tree, probably about 20 feet away from him.
Wow.
And he did not fly away, and he just was kind of staring me down like, that's as close as you better come, he was saying. And we drifted under him and went off to another tree. So anyways, the eagles out there were just amazing. And then the last photograph was the only one that I had to do a small hike with.
Wow.
It's a small path we had to go. We took a boat to an island, and there was a place where we walked through with, fortunately, a guide who had bear spray and all the protection we need. But we came upon this bear who was feeding salmon. The salmon were running. So they're so fat and happy eating all the salmon. They really don't care about people being close by. I think we were probably about 20 yards away,
Wow.
kind of off in the edge of the woods, and just watching him eat salmon. And well, underneath where he's standing right now, he's got a big salmon. He's half eating it away, and these seagulls are looking at him like, hey, we want your scraps. Hurry up, go get another one. And I captured the seagull kind of squawking at him, and it reminds me kind of, even the smallest bird will speak up and have a mighty, voice against some big intimidating force out there. So I kind of think of us that way too. We've got a thing we're fighting, but we're the smaller ones at the moment, but we're squawking loud and making a difference. So anyways, as I said, it's just it's an opportunity for me to just really have a peaceful moment, see God's beauty, and capture it when I can. And anyways, I was so fortunate that we were able to arrange that trip so quickly and do it before, perhaps it become a little more challenge for me to get around the wilderness. So thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yes.
Next, we have Dan Wilson.
Hello, everybody. So what my passion is creating model replicas. And back in 1980, I was diagnosed with FSH. And like many, it really didn't start impacting me until I was in my early to mid 50s. And when I found myself becoming less and less able to do the things that I wanted to do, for instance, here in Indianapolis, of course, the Indianapolis 500 is a big thing. And I would go to that every year. Any race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I'd go see. If they were racing tricycles around that oval, I would go see it. But I just couldn't negotiate the steps anymore, let alone walking the distance from the vehicle to the track and back. Concert going, was a big concert fan, wasn't able to do that anymore, and camping and hiking. So I went back to the passion I had when I was in grade school and high school, and that was model building. And I always told myself that if there was an opportunity, I would join a model club. And I found a club of guys here in Indianapolis, the Hoosier Model Car Association, and have been involved with them now for about 3 years. So this picture is the setup where we have an event once a year where we have a swap meet and a model car contest. And last year I organized a raffle to benefit Gleaners Food Bank here in Indianapolis, um, particularly the Lebanon area, city of Lebanon, Indiana. And that's me in that picture there, just getting ready for the event. Our event this year, we are going to host a raffle to benefit Indy Honor Flight. And those of you that might be military veterans in our group might know of the Honor Flight, where the Honor Flight is an organization that fully funds for military veterans to go to Washington, D.C., and they treat them to all of the war memorials out at Washington, D.C., and feed them, pays for their airfare, all the transportation. It's a 1-day trip. They get them out there and bring them back. So this year, our raffle will benefit Indy Honor Flight. So what I like to do is build model cars and model aircraft. This is a picture of the room that I'm in now. This is kind of the working space, if you will, and that's the where all the action takes place. That's my model desk and all the supplies that I use. This is my 2025 goal shelf, if you will. So these are all the cars that I would like to assemble this year. And each month in our club, we have a theme. So we'll build a car and bring it to the club. We meet at a local restaurant in Carmel, Indiana, and all the guys get together and bring their builds for the theme. And about every 2 months, we have an in-club contest. So these are the builds that I hope to have completed throughout the year this year. And on the far, see if you're looking at the screen, the bottom left, you'll see a brown box that says 1973 Chevrolet Cutlass Supreme. And that is the first car that I bought with my own money. They really don't make a model of that, but my brother somehow found this resin kit online and purchased that for me. So I'm going to be able to make my first car. So what I like to do is build kits and gift them to people. So, for instance, a lot of my family and friends, I'll ask them, what was your first car? And we all remember what our first car was and have a lot of memories that are associated with that vehicle. So, I'll build them their first car and then gift that to them on a birthday or, during Christmas. And that's what allows me to give back to them for all that they do for me since I'm really not physically able to help them move or do yard work, this, that, or the other. But one of the blessings that I have is to build these model replicas and gift that back to them. So this is a pink Cadillac and it has two figurines in there. This is just one of our theme builds, and I call that the pink Cadillac and Mr. and Mrs. Wilson going out for the evening. I've always liked the 1949 Mercury, and this is a build of a Mercury that actually was one of our theme builds for the club, and didn't get first place, but I got a close second. But I was really proud of that, and I always just like the black 49 Merc. And those of you that remember Home Improvements and Tim the Man Taylor, he had Alan Jackson on as a special guest, and the opening scene is of them singing, um, oh, there's a Mercury song out there. And so that's what inspired me to build that. Again, Indianapolis, Indiana, home to the Indy 500. This is Bobby Enzer's, I believe it's the 1972 Olsonite Eagle, and I built that for my collection. And then my uncle, who is 90 years of age, I asked him what his first car memories were. And he remembers coming back from the Army, and his first car was a 1958 Belvedere. So I built that and gifted that to him. And that is a replica of the car that he actually purchased.
What did he say?
He was pretty impressed. He really liked it. He unfortunately, well, I don't know, unfortunately or fortunately, he did sell his house and relocate into assisted living. He's doing quite well, but he has this model next to his television on his television stand so he can see it daily, and he gets a lot of questions about it when the staff come in to see him.
And it's the same color scheme that his was?
Exactly, same color scheme.
How sweet.
And this is the car. You might call it my first car when I got my driver's license. Of course, I lived with mom and dad back then, but this was the first car that I learned how to drive in. The bottom picture is the car actually sitting at the curb in front of the house I grew up in. and then the car on top is the replica of the model. And if you look back in the rear window, remember back in the day, we'd put carpet on that rear deck and we'd have those 6x9 coaxial speakers back there, right? And listen to our rock and roll as we were cruising around. So that is a replica of the first car that I learned how to drive, 1968 Dodge Dart.
And
Mhm.
and when you were sending these to me, I think you had a name. This car had a name.
This one I don't remember having a name, but I'm glad you mentioned that because
Yeah.
I do name many of my vehicles. It may have been one of the others. I don't remember naming this one.
Did the dog go for a ride with you? You can see a picture of the
We
dog.
had the dog, so that's Rebel. Yeah, I don't remember having him in the car, but he was always there when we were outside washing or polishing the vehicles.
Mhm.
And then this doesn't really come out too well, but this, I just completed this. This is a Vietnam era F4 Phantom. And a friend of mine lost his brother on a bombing mission in 1971. Well, my friend's son, who was 8 or 10 years old back in the 80s, started to build this model, I believe, as a tribute to his uncle, my friend's brother, who was lost in the war. Well, he never completed it. So my friend came over to this patio home that I purchased last year and putting in some lighting, and he told me about this model that his son was building but never completed it. And I told him to bring it over, let's take a look at it. And so I'm rehabbing it, finished it yesterday, and he's going to come by and pick it up in the next week or two. And it's a memorial piece um, that his brother flew, he and his pilot, that went down November 26, 1971. So we call that Big Bertha. And yeah, he's going to come by and pick that up in a couple of weeks and
Oh, nice.
have it as home as a memorial piece for his brother.
Nice. 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 Thank you so much. Very
My
interesting
pleasure.
and such intricate work,
Mhm.
too. Such intricate work. Next, we have our dear friend Ann Biggs Williams. Ann, did you want to speak to this or do you want me to speak for you?
You go right ahead.
Okay. So, Anne, bless her heart, she's a little shy and she says, "Oh, I play the piano, but you don't want to hear about that." And I said, "Yes, I do, because it's a form of creativity." So she shared that she's played the piano for a long period of time, for church and also for pleasure. And then she had trouble getting into her own church to be able to play the piano because of accessibility issues. But she did find a church near her that she was able to get into, that did happen to need a piano player. Um, so she was able to play for them, and she has for several years. She did need some reasonable accommodations, and she asked for them, bless her heart, which we should do. We need to advocate for ourselves. So they were able to provide a bench that was a little bit higher
Mm.
so that she could get up to it better. She continues to play, and she feels certain that her hand strength is good because of all of that piano playing, all of that finger exercises. So this is her niece. This is Anne and her niece playing the piano. And remind me, the tin cup is that?
Well, it was Christmas time and
Oh,
we were singing carols and the niece just you know, she was just playing around
I love
like
it.
give a collection. We're playing for money.
Yeah,
So,
it's very sweet, very sweet. So creativity, piano playing it's creativity, definitely, definitely creativity. And there's just so many different forms of creativity that help us in just so many different ways. So I had this open spot and I thought I would need to find something from the society. And I really liked this, and I think it does sum up a lot of what I've heard many people say during this presentation. The future is not a place we are going, but a place we are creating, first in our mind, next with our will, and then in activity. I thought that was very. And then this was shared with me by Kathy Senecal, and I think it sums it up very, very nicely. And it's unknown. I did try to find it. I did a little bit of a research on it, and I couldn't find, because I do like to give credit where credit is due. But this one says it's all art, the way you laugh, your smile, your wardrobe, the way you decorate your home, the way you dance, your energy, your collection of books and the way you write, your playlists, your grocery lists, your friendships. It's all art. Your whole life is art. Thank you to everybody that participated. And we have questions. Please share. Ask questions. Tell us what you think.
Hi, Renee. This is Mary Beth. I have a question for Anita. Your spackle art, do you do that on canvas? And do you have to treat the canvas at all before you apply the spackle?
It is on canvas, and I did not have to treat it. I did buy a good quality canvas, level 3, if that helps. And I bought it at Michael's. I don't know if you're familiar with Michael's.
Yes, I live in New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah. And I did not have to put gesso or anything else on it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Your art is so beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jane, you have a question?
Comment rather than a question. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. This has just been an incredible experience. The quality of the work of everyone was just outstanding. I'm blown away, and just what a wonderful group of talented people we have among our FSHD membership. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
And then Helen, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I do. I have to think about my mom as I saw all of this, because she adapted throughout her life and she tried a lot of different mediums, you know, sewing and knitting and play work and just a lot of different. She did some carvings. She did a lot of different things. And in the end, she, I might have told this story before, she couldn't knit anymore, so she crocheted. And she crocheted right up until just maybe a month or so before she died at age 87 and a half. And at her memorial service, each family member carried in a big Afghan that she had crocheted for each of them. She'd crocheted baby blankets and given them away, but she'd also crocheted something for each family member, and we put it up on the railing in front of the church altar. It was quite meaningful. I've got another question for Anita. Is that spackle the spackle that you use to fill in holes on the?
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
It's a very common, yes, it's what you would buy at Home Depot or a store like that. And you would patch up a hole or patch up something, a wall, whatever it might be. It's nothing. It's nothing.
I never even thought of using it as an art medium. That is so neat. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jenny.
Yeah, I wanted to say that everybody's art is beautiful. Whatever we saw today was absolutely amazing. I'm a big attender of craft shows, and not just, you know, knitted doily craft shows. So, and I have a lot of pieces in my house from other people. So really great, talented people here. And I like this last thing that you put up, because I was thinking to myself, I really can't do too much, but I can do all of the stuff in that list there. So, but everybody did a great job. Thank you.
So I'm going to tell a story about Jenny, if I can, real quick here.
About me?
About you, yeah, about you. So Jenny does works with trains,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
which is another form of creativity.
Well, I have to say my husband is more of the artistic one there. I belong to the club and I've been around it for many, many, many years. So thank you, Renee, though.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Jack.
Yeah, I'll just Jane put it very well. This is amazing, amazing talent. So thank you all. I enjoyed listening. Question for Dan: what size are the replicas, Dan? Or does it vary?
So the typically, Jack, the replicas for the kits that we build are 124 or 125th scale, but you can get 132nd scale, and the jet that I'm building is 132nd scale.
Do you prefer any specific scale?
I find that the 124th and 125th, it has enough material in there for me to handle it well. The smaller scales are a little bit more difficult with the teeny tiny pieces. And then I built a 1955 Chevy Nomad that was a 1/16th scale. So that was quite a large kit, but it was really nice to have that extra material to be able to handle it.
Great, thanks, Dan.
And I noticed in your picture that you have, is it like magnifying glass that you can see? Is that what's standing up on a stand on your workbench, or is that a light?
So that's a light, but I do wear a headset that similar to what a dentist would use to magnify the workspace. Yeah, some of it's so teeny tiny, and depending on the painting detail, yeah, magnifier is necessary.
Do you do anything with propping up your arms so that you have better dexterity?
Yeah, I basically just lay my arms either on the armrest of my chair or on the table itself. And that's one thing I thought that was amazing about all of our presentations is as much as our upper body is affected by FSH, and we have our good days and bad days, but there are certainly blessings that come with it in our art and creativity that we shared with each other is one of those blessings, despite the challenges and the weaknesses we have with our arms and shoulders.
So, Michael, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
About your camera. So, do you have cameras are heavy?
They are.
So, can I ask you how you're able to manipulate and maneuver getting such beautiful
So yeah,
pictures?
one of the easiest things that I've used is a monopod, so it's just a single stick that attaches to it. And I put my gear in a backpack, so I'm able to hold it while I go where I'm going. I use the monopod as like a hiking stick if you want. And then most of it gets mounted on that, so it can just rest. And so when it's time to take a picture, often that monopod will be right where I need it, and it'll just hold the camera there. And then I just have to move it around. It tilts back real easy, so it kind of takes all the weight off. Because it's harder to hold those heavy lenses up. So I use that quite a bit. It's easier than a tripod. Tripod's very, it's fixed, and then you can really only have some movement. But this allows for a very mobile kind of point and shoot.
And are you able to have different angles of your camera on the top, or is it has to be on a certain?
No, yeah, it quickly pivots one direction or the other. There's a collar on the lens that you loosen up, and you just simply turn it 90 degrees, and it goes right to that position or back. So it's very easy to kind of move that camera into the position you need it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Jen, I think you're next.
Yeah, like everybody else already said, this has just been such an amazing thing, Renee. This is like the best idea. Thank you. and bringing us together this way. I was just kind of curious if other people are just kind of doing their art on their own, if they're taking classes or what they're doing. One thing I've started doing a little bit is I have other friends that do art, and sometimes we'll just like get on a Zoom on a Sunday morning and just put the Zoom on for a couple of hours. We're working in our respective things and just chatting as we're working and sharing it. And that's kind of been nice. But I was just curious if people are taking classes or working pretty solo.
I could answer a little bit on that.
Okay.
And race.
Please do. Please do.
Well, it's funny because when I retired and I joined, the first thing I did when I moved here 8 years ago, I joined an art association locally. And within a year, I became the chairperson of education, which I was never a teacher. So I know nothing about, this, and I just became a new artist. So most of my classes were in person for years. I'd say 5 years. Then when COVID came about, we converted some of the classes through Zoom for our organization, which was probably about 200 people. But then we found, even now, I'm not the chair anymore, but I'm still in the education. Because of COVID, the amount of Zoom classes that are out there and still thriving and still coming on strong, the in-person classes are suffering. So I do see a turn of more people at, this level here, at least that I paint with, we're doing a lot more Zoom. There's a lot out there.
Dan, you wanted to speak to that too?
Well, what I can say is I typically just work solo, but once a month we get together as a club and share tips and hints of the model building trade, if you will. But then we also text each other regularly or email each other regularly and say, hey, this is what I got going on. What have you found that works for this problem or that problem? It has to do with paint or glue or assembly. I'm probably the youngest guy in the group and I'm 65. So these guys have been doing it and they're in their 70s. So they've got a lot of good suggestions and I'm still learning it.
So next we have Debbie and then Rob. Debbie?
Oh, yes. I'd just like to ask the other painters, Mary Beth and Jennifer, and there was one more, but anyway, do you have, like Renee asked, I have problems with holding my arms up, even with the camera, like I don't have one of them joysticks or whatever you called it, but what do you do, Mary Beth, to help you with that? Or do you have an issue with your weakness in your arms yet?
It's funny, Deborah, because there's times where a lot of my friends, they'll stand and paint on an easel. I can't because I can't hold my arms up. So I sit and I have a chair that has armrests. Even when I practiced dentistry, I had a chair that had armrests, which was not the usual type chair. They were usually stools with but I needed something to take the pressure off my neck. So I would say I sit, I do not stand, and I use armrests on my chair. If that helps at all.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, I don't have that kind of trouble with my arms yet. But what I do have, and it works really well for me, is I have one of these also with armrests. It's like a drafting chair, but it's almost like a good desk chair. So it's cushioned and stuff like that. So it's supportive. And I'm sitting up a little bit higher. So I'm sitting up over a table, or with the easel that I'm sitting in front of it, and I have the high chair. So that's helpful for me.
I have to be up over mine too.
Yeah.
Kathy, how about you? Is she still here?
She
Kathy?
is. She's.
Yep, I am. Yeah. First of all, Renee, just thank you. This is so much fun. And I the creativity, the innovation, the talent, I'm just blown away. I probably won't be able to sleep tonight. But yes, I wanted to respond that since going out and lugging all your watercolor supplies and painting plein air is not possible for me, there you keep innovating and keep going. And one of the questions was, do you paint solo or take classes online? And I take my classes online, but what I've done, which is really working out well, I talk to my other watercolorist friends and say, hey, there's this great instructor that's going to do a class on so and so, and we sign up together. So even though we're in our separate homes, we sign up, we take this class together. And then after the class, the next few days, we kibbutz, which is really a nice way to combine both, more personal interactions and still get good instruction. But I also sit in a higher chair that has wheels. I can roll around the room and get the stuff that I need. That really helps. And it's just a lot of fun. So I think we keep adapting and we keep finding ways to express our creativity.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't want Rob to think I forgot him. Rob?
Yeah, just in terms of the collaboration, I just want to put it up there as an offer. I'm much more of a composer than a lyricist. So if there's any poets in our crowd and you have any words you think might turn into a song, I love to collaborate with people. And when I'm not playing, if I hear an activities aide who has a great voice, I'm immediately asking them if they would like to come up and sing a few songs so I don't have to. I love working with other musicians at church because I can just sit back and play for the most part and not try to push the singing so much since I don't sing like I used to. But at any rate, I love to collaborate. So if anybody has an inkling of becoming a songwriter, get in touch and maybe we can work at things together. Okay.
So I do have a question to our people that presented today, to our wonderful folks that presented. Are you okay? And please be honest, and unfortunately I'm putting you on the spot, if we put your email addresses in the notes so that everybody can reach out to somebody else that presented today if you've got a question or you want to collaborate or just whatever. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
over
thank you. I think that's a great idea, and I've heard a couple of the requests for collaboration, and I think that's important. So we'll make sure that that happens.
There we are. Michael, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So I enjoy birding. Was birding since I was sophomore in high school, but the binoculars have gotten too heavy. I tried using a monocular with some sort of a heavy single pole to hold it in place. So, do you have any recommendations or suggestions on websites where I can find some sort of a single stand, maybe like what you use for your big lenses to hold binoculars up?
Yeah, those monopods have the same fitting that most of those binoculars do have, because you can screw them right in the bottom. If not, if they have a smaller screw, you can alternate them out. But those have been, yeah, there's multiple ones. I certainly reach out to me and I can show you some of the styles that I looked at. I got a very lightweight one that was sturdy so that I could use it as a hiking stick as well. But another thing that I've found too is when you're holding stuff up, if you're able to either lie near a window or anything that you have, is to take a bean bag and lay the bean bag on like a branch or an end of a chair, and then you put the camera, or in your case, the binoculars, on the bean bag, and it kind of holds the position for you, and you don't have to hold the weight, so you can kind of move it around. If you're going in a certain direction, it's an easy way to do it. A bean bag, so you balance it right on that. So that's another option.
So if I'm looking and searching for something, I'm looking for monopod.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. If you go to a place like B&H Photo, they have a million of them, and they're very reasonable price there.
And is the screw connector that connects from the monopod to the binocular pretty much universal with cameras as well?
There's usually two sizes, and most of them come with both sizes. So you just put in whatever fitting you want, but most will have both. Just check that they do. And if you actually know the measurement on your binoculars, then you can use that. But most have the two different sizes.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
Miss Helen.
Well, I just am thinking here that we should do this again, make it an annual event, maybe.
I think that's a great idea. It did take me 5 months to put it together.
We
But
make it a biannual event.
no, you know what? Yeah, I think it's important to do. So I think at least once a year.
Yeah.
At least once a year. Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And the conversations that I've had with people as I've been building this are just phenomenal. They're just, people are so excited. The folks I talked with, and people that emailed me also were really excited to share and to hear what other people are doing.
And maybe at the meeting, at the annual meeting, there could even maybe be a little.
I think that's a great idea. Connect, you mean? The
Yeah.
connect? Yes, I
Maybe
think so
get,
too.
a few pieces that could actually be
Yeah.
shown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could do like a gallery board so that we could get as many people as possible. If there's too many photos, maybe people can pick one or two of what they really would like to share and then share it that way. It's just so important to understand how to get into the flow. I heard flow or getting into the groove, and how important that is to people. And I just think, from my limited nursing perspective and my nursing lens, it is just so important. It's just so important, to feel productive, to feel constructive, and when you make people happy by what you're providing, it's just such a great feeling, such an important feeling. Debbie.
Yes, ma'am. Elaborating on something that was already mentioned, but maybe we could have someone organize a Zoom group and want to teach watercolor, Mary Beth, or how to do spirals, Jennifer, or I mean, that would be a good idea. We could set a time and just create.
Right.
So
Well, I think that's kind of what I heard Jen saying is that, she and her friends just get together for an hour or two, and there's no agenda.
yeah.
You decide what you're going to do. Is that what I'm hearing you're saying too, Debbie?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
And maybe we could even do some, like, I would love to learn watercolor, but I haven't tried it yet.
Mary Beth.
Thanks, but I actually found the raise the hand button, so thanks. But I think I mentioned to you, Renee, when we were talking, that there is a show, an exhibit called The Art Ability, and it's for artists with disabilities. And I could send that to you.
Yes, please do.
Because all of us can enter, and I did not get a notice yet. I did put my name on the list, and supposedly they'll send out a notice. And I believe it's in Pennsylvania, and it has to do with one of the hospitals there. And I hear it's a fabulous exhibit. So I will definitely send that to you. You can see that.
Yep. When you shared that with me, I did look it up, and I think it was UPenn, but I could be wrong. But yes, I think that's a great idea. I think what I'm hearing you say is that there are many opportunities that we can take advantage of.
I think so. I don't know how, I've never entered in it yet because I missed the last year's. So I'm not sure how you would get your piece there if it's, but anyway, we could see. It would be great.
We can explore. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dan.
Yes, I would like to know if any of our painters have experimented with the Bob Ross process. If you're familiar with Bob Ross, I can sit there and watch that man for hours. And it's kind of like watching a cooking show. they make everything in 30 minutes, but for me, it seems to take an hour and a half. But I
Yeah.
thought if I could get some sort, I feel like I could do his method to do some painting. So I'd like to know if anybody in our group here has tried his method.
I used to love to
I
watch him when I was a kid. Go ahead, Debbie.
I've I've got the you have to use a special medium. And it's wet on wet also. And so you put like a base coat of paint there and kind of like gesso. And then it's a whole different, I haven't mastered it yet anyway. So, but it's very interesting to try. And he does make it so easy. I love the way he says, just put a happy little tree here, you know.
Debbie, have you found that when you tried it, trying to use the way he instructs on his brush strokes and holding the paintbrush. And of course, he's doing it standing up on an easel. I don't think I would be able to do that, but just the way he holds the brush and does the brush strokes in the X formation to create what he does.
Right. Yes. For the base layer mostly, yes. Uh-huh. But yeah,
Okay.
it takes some learning. I haven't mastered it at all yet.
Just as I'm listening to this, I've thought of something about handwriting and calligraphy. My mom, I mean, most people have a very distinctive handwriting style that stays with them their life. And, if you were given several envelopes or pieces of paper with people's writing on that you knew, you probably could identify who wrote it. One thing I noticed towards the last few years of my mom's life was her writing got shakier, and then she couldn't write with her right hand anymore, so she had to transfer to her left hand for doing signatures and stuff. And so she, but she still wanted to write cards and things and send birthday cards, anniversary cards to her family and friends, but it was quite shaky. And I know a couple of times I've thought to myself, in case that happens to me, I should be starting to practice writing with my left hand. And I've done that a couple of days and then I forget all about it. But one thing I have noticed, and this sort of has to do with this creativity in a way, is my handwriting style ever since I'd been about, I learned to do cursive writing and that varies a lot. Like, I don't think people could necessarily choose. And I just wondered if anyone else has noticed that, whether the progression in our hands and how that changes, you know, the style of artwork that you do and stuff. I'm just curious, I guess.
Yes, Dan.
So Helen, I'm called Weird Finger Dan in the occupational therapy department. I've got a finger on my right hand that just wants to do what it wants to do. It won't bend. It's not the good finger. And so I went to occupational therapy to ask them about it because I cannot hold a pen like I used to. And it's also affecting my ability to write as well. It's the middle finger and the index finger and the thumb on my right hand. So they gave me, or actually fabricated for me, I wouldn't say it's a brace, but it's some sort of oh, I don't even know how to describe it, that I wear on my left or my right middle finger so it will bend so I can grip the pen or pencil a little better so I can write. But yeah, I'm finding that writing with my right hand is becoming more difficult. As a matter of fact, I got a phone call from somebody I wrote a check to, and they said I need to write another one because they couldn't figure out what I wrote.
I was hoping that you could share a little bit more about how you pick your subjects for your artwork.
Oh, that's a good question. I'm becoming much more selective about what I want to do, because before you used to create bodies of work. That's what people wanted for new exhibits. So I amassed a great personal collection of art. So now I'm picking and choosing, but only inspired by something. So there was that woman who was a friend, and I loved that image, and of course my pet. So I'm concentrating on things that I can spend an endless amount of time on, and not amass another great number of pieces. So I wait until I'm inspired, and so that's the way it is right now.
Good, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Helen,
That was easy, Renee.
What's that?
That wasn't a difficult question. Thank you.
Well, I love the stories behind your art, and as well as everybody, as they're describing why they chose to paint whatever it is that they chose, because that just sings to me that that something made such an impression on you that you felt like you wanted to make it your own via
That's right.
your vehicle of your artwork. Helen, do you have a question, or did we just forget to put your...
I forgot to.
Okay, not to worry.
Forgot to lower my hand.
There we go. There we
Is
go.
it down now? Yes, I think so.
All right, so we've got a couple more questions, or a couple more minutes here.
I would be interested in commissioning maybe some of our painters for their work. I always like to have original artwork hanging in my home. So if they don't mind sharing their email and might be open to some commission work, I'd be interested in discussing that with them on at some point.
So we're going to have everybody's email address in the minutes, the notes, so you'll be able to reach out to folks that way. So that's sweet. That's very, very sweet. So Anita, I love the fact that you did use spackle. I mean, how much does spackle cost? About $3 or $4?
It's not, I buy a big tub, so it's not a lot of money at all.
Yeah. And the knives, the putty knives are not very expensive either.
No, not at all.
No.
And they last, I mean, I did pottery probably around 50 years ago. And I saved it thinking I might go back to it at some point. So I used those tools and it was fine.
Wonderful. And the putty knives come in different sizes. Can't you get like
Different
a really
shapes.
small one?
Different shapes and different sizes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Anyone can do this.
Mhm.
I love it.
And you cannot make a mistake.
That's the good part.
Yes, it's very safe. As I said, my grandson was 4 years old when I did this, and he found it interesting, of course, and so he did a small canvas.
Nice.
And it didn't matter, it's just fun.
Nice, nice. And before I forget, I just wanted to ask Kathy Senecal, if she's still on, about the yarn.
Yeah, I'm still here, Renee.
Okay, so I know
Yeah.
you talked about spinning, and I shared with you my story of living in Harrisville, New Hampshire, where they do a lot of spinning of yarn and dyeing. So, how hard was it to learn how to spin?
Well, not that hard. I identify with a lot of the stories I've heard. I've always been interested in crafting, arting, whatever you want to call it, since when I was in college, my senior year, I was allowed 2 electives, and I chose art appreciation and pottery. So that kind of tells you where my passions were at 20 years old. But it's not hard to learn how to spin. Spinning art yarn is quite different, though. When I first started spinning, I ordered wool, unprocessed wool from Newfoundland, and it smelled like unprocessed wool. I mean, it had been spun, but it certainly had the odor. And I knit, my husband and I, we were just as broke as could be. We had no money, but I was able to save the pennies and get natural yarn. And I knit us each a Aran pattern sweater back in the day. So this was well over 50 years ago. And he called them his bulletproof sweaters because they were so thick. But basically, spinning yarn is not hard. And if your legs don't work anymore, they also have electric spinners. And I considered that option to go to an electric spinner, but other interests beckoned me. So I said goodbye to that part. But it's not hard, Renee. And as a lover of wool, you understand that the sheeps and
Yes.
sheep are very important.
Yes. Yes. My daughter has two sheep. They are Matilda and Valentine.
What is the breed?
Um, they don't look like any fancy sheep. But you know, there's the cute ones that have the black ears and the black nose. That's what she really wanted, but they're outrageously expensive. So
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So Michael, and then we'll go to Helen. Michael hasn't asked a question recently. So Michael,
Yeah, Renee. So actually your art is kind of living art, right? So your
yes,
plants, they change, they
yes.
transform, so your canvas is constantly changing. So you have a favorite time of season, what you like it the best and why?
You know, I don't because here in Western Washington we have a very long season for flowers. So um, the first blossoms are from the tulips and the daffodils, and then my lavender, and then it's my daisies, and then it's my echinacea, then my roses and my carnations, and then the last to bloom is my hydrangeas, and they
Mm.
will last until sometimes October. So, you know, I just love the whole season. Thank
Do
you
you
for
add to
asking.
do you add to your collections or take things
Yes.
out, put things in?
You know, my son Gavin was my original gardener, and unfortunately, he has the disease as well, so his shoulders are getting weaker.
Mhm.
So we just hired a gardener. So I asked him specifically, so you won't mind if I throw in a couple plants for you to put in the ground for me, right? And he giggled. He kind of giggled and smiled at me, and he said no. So yes, I do have some new plants. Anemone.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're just beautiful. And dahlias. Dahlias grow really, really well here. You just have to dig them up. And that's not going to be happening at my yard unless my new friend Felix will be willing to do that for me. But dahlias are gorgeous. I just
Yeah.
absolutely adore them.
Yeah, that's my wife's favorite flower. She
Oh,
just loves them.
yes. Yes, it used to be peonies. When I lived in New Hampshire, we had a lot of peonies, but they required ants because they worked together.
Oh.
But I don't really want. And then when you brought them in the house to put them on the dining room table, you had ants all over your table. So I'm not so fond of them anymore. But I do have some beautiful rose bushes that a dear friend gave me when I first moved in here. And so we do cut a lot of roses and a lot of
Oh,
lavender, and we
nice.
have some sage, and then our hydrangeas and our echinacea. So I do love a really nice planting garden.
Good. Sounds it. Looks awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. Miss Helen, thank you for being so patient.
Well, I was just thinking that you've got you said something about some really dear roses.
Yes, no, they're not deer roses. My dear friend bought the roses for
The
me.
dear friends. Okay.
Yes. Now,
You don't
unfortunately,
have
we
to,
do have deer.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Hmm I'm not a happy camper with the deer. Um, because if it's sweet, they eat it. Now, if it's close to the house, they're not as comfortable coming up close to the house yet. I'm sure that's going to change, but
It will, because
yeah,
there's deer in our neighborhood, and I've been, I see deer up close. They've got no qualms whatsoever about,
right, right.
yeah,
They're not shy at all.
no,
No,
no.
no, no, no,
No.
no.
I
Yes,
mean,
so
people that are more serious gardeners, they've erected, 6 to 8 foot wire
right. Well,
fences.
yeah, so what I see a lot of people do is on their fences or in their trees, they put just long strips of shiny, different colors of foil that the wind will move, and they are afraid of that. Now, I feel certain that they will identify that we're trying to trick them, and they won't buy that anymore. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The other one, since Michael asked me, I have a beautiful ornamental cherry tree that's that my house was built in 52, and I think it's original to it, It has the most beautiful blossoms, and it's the last tree to blossom in my area. So everybody else's blossom starts the late of March. Mine start in May. So I have beautiful, and I don't get any pits or stems because it's ornamental. So we love the cherry blossoms, and then I have a beautiful pink lawn for a couple weeks after all of the blossoms drop. So that's fun. That's a lot of fun.
I've heard
I
of hanging CDs in your trees.
Oh, that's true. Yes, it would do the same thing as the foil. Yeah, yeah. Catch the light and scare them. Yeah. Or just a barking dog would probably do it too, but I don't have one of those. Miss Debbie.
Here in Missouri, we use a bar of Irish Spring soap. You can just shave the bar into like hose, pantyhose or something like that,
Yeah.
or you can just hang or just spread it around, but it repels the deer really well.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah, I've done that before, especially with fruit trees.
Yes.
Yes, it's a really good handy. I don't know why, but it works. The
Our
scent,
raccoons 8 hours.
obviously.
Our raccoons 8 hours.
Oh no.
Oh my, well, I don't know what to do about that.
Persistent. Persistent. So I want to be respectful of people's time. I think we've got 2 minutes left. 1 minute left, according to my Apple time here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our presenters for your sharing your great work and your curiosity, how you work through your curiosity, and how you share your art with us and your curiosity and your creativity. This has been wonderful. It's really been a lot of fun to put together, and I have thoroughly enjoyed all parts of it. So thank you all so very, very much. And we will get this, we'll have the society do what they need to do to the recording. And then when we know that it's up, we'll make sure that everybody has that link. And our wonderful note taker, Helen, will have everybody's email address. I'll make sure that she has that.
Great. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank
Your
you.
time.
Renee.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has been
Thanks so much.
amazing. Thank you so much.
This was a treat.
It has been a treat. It has been a treat. Definitely.